judging from what I read and from conversations I have sometimes with people, I think we struggled really to get a handle on exactly what humility means. The Catechism says humility is that virtue by which we acknowledge God as the source of all good. And so that tells us one thing immediately, that we are not the final stop, so to speak, the final place to acknowledge what is good. And then the Catechism also says it's the virtue which keeps us from inordinate ambition or pride. And I think the key word there is inordinate. I don't think that it's evil to have ambition or evil to have pride in what you do. It's the inordinate pride or ambition that causes the trouble. And it was interesting, what struck me is the gospel for yesterday morning's Mass, the daily Mass. You know the parable, wealthy landowner goes off and he gives 3 of his servants a certain amount. 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another, and 1 talent to a third. And he comes back, and the man with 5 talents has made 5 more, the man with 2 has made 2 more, and the one with 1 buried it. And what's interesting is, the man with 5 talents says, Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I have made another 5. So, first of all, we see that acknowledging God as the ultimate source of the good. So, if whatever we do, we can say, yes, I did this, but I did it with what God gave me. But then also notice that he had 5 more. He did something with what God gave him. Ambition from, there's a root deep in there, Latin, ambulare, to walk, to go somewhere. Right? Ambition is that energy in us that wants to progress, wants to move forward, wants to do something. And I think that comes from God. And so we want to do something with what God gave us. And so we do. And we can take pride in it. And if that word trips you up there, I think we can safely substitute the word satisfaction for that. I think that's what pride means there. And I can see both the landowner and the servant rejoicing in that, right? The landowner says, you good servant, faithful servant, come enter your master's joy. So when we take the good things that God gives us and produce more good, I think there's joy and satisfaction all around. God can take the pride in his people, and we can take pride in the good that we've done with God's resources and with God's help. And I think as long as that is going on like that, that attitude, humility is accomplished, right? Pride does not enter in, like false pride. Why is it, though, that we seek the highest place at the table? What is that that's going on? I think there could be different answers to that. But here's one answer I would offer to you. I was reminded this week of something I wrote in my journal months ago. This thought came to me one morning as I was praying, that people want to be important because they don't know how valuable they are. And so if inside you don't have a sense of your value, I think we will try to look important, feel important, be important to make up for that that's not there. And so how do we know our value? Are we valued? We are definitely valuable. I mean, we wouldn't be here if God didn't want us to be here, you know? If God didn't want us to exist, we wouldn't. And so each of us is an example of God's goodness, God's overflowing creative goodness. Now, to be honest with you, this is the one I struggle with the most, of thinking of myself of any value. But we have to let go of subjective things and look at the objective truth. First of all, we're created by God. But secondly, how do we find the value of something? What is something worth? Well, you hear this all the time, and maybe you said it. It's worth what someone is willing to pay for it. Sometimes people tell me what houses go for in Fort Thomas, and I think, oh my God, really? You know? Well, is it really worth whatever, $350,000? Well, it must be because someone was willing to pay it. You know? So what are we worth? We were worth what God was willing to pay for us. And all we have to do is look at the crucifix, and we can see what God was willing to pay for us. And so we must be worth an infinite amount. We look and see Jesus' precious body torn up and hanging on the cross, an offering for us. We look and see his precious blood flowing down his face, from his head, flowing out of the wounds in his hands and his feet, flowing down the side from where the spear entered. We see his precious blood poured out for us. So we see we must be of infinite value to God because he paid out for us what was infinite. And that should fill us not with a false pride. It should fill us not with a desire to be important, because we see how valuable we are to God. And if we could really get that inside of us, I think, we would lose any desire, it seems to me, for earthly honors or earthly position. Anything that pride pushes us to reach for. That would be perfect humility, it seems to me, to recognize our immense value to God and to be able to walk in that place.